Hi guys, it's Pleasance from Little Om Yoga, and I wanted to talk today a little bit about having and finding a teacher. So, one thing that I hear a lot in the yoga meditation world is around having a teacher and finding a teacher and staying with a teacher. I think it's really challenging in the current climate because of studio-based classes and drop-in model. It, in some ways, is really wonderful because you get to experience a whole range of classes and teachers, and in other ways is really challenging because you're not really sticking with the teacher. Miller, come here. With the teacher long enough for them to get to learn your body and more about you. So traditionally, yoga was practiced one-on-one, teacher and student. And so the teacher was really able to know the student and know what their body needed, what was going on in their life. Miller, come here. And I really respect this type of relationship. A few years ago, was able to find my first, what I would call my first real teacher. Prior to that, I was definitely a yoga mutt. I loved Jivamukti. I learned a lot about Baptiste. I learned a lot about Vinyasa Flow. I went to Shiva Ray's classes, Judith Lassiter. I mean, I kind of did everything and anyone. I just loved yoga so much that I wanted to study with everyone, and that's what I did. I took classes with pretty much all of the big teachers, went to see a bunch of different people. It was really hard for me at that time to discern what kind of teacher I really needed, and I sort of liked them all, but I didn't feel really closely connected to any of the yoga teachers that I was studying with. It wasn't until around probably 2010 or so, 10 or 11, where I met Karen Mazen Miller, and I really started studying meditation with Mazen and going on retreats with Mazen and making sure that I read everything she wrote and really listening to her as my meditation teacher. That type of relationship profoundly changed and influenced my yoga practice because I did start to see the benefit of the Miller, come here. You don't have to bark. I got to really feel the benefit of what studying with one teacher felt like and having someone who knew you in your practice and really encouraging you in your practice. And I'm really grateful for that relationship. It was a really, really important relationship in my life. And at the same time, my yoga practice really evolved into, it had to, because I was in a lot of pain in my hips. I had a lot of stress in my life, and I really needed a practice that complemented and balanced out the stress I had from having two small children and running a yoga studio. So with no family around and trying to figure out childcare and all of the things that I know many of you know about. So at that time, I had heard about Eric Schiffman, and I began to study a bit more with him just online. I joined his online program where he does practices and meditations, and found that I really enjoyed his approach to yoga. It felt so relevant and profound for my life at the time, and it was really encouraging me to develop my own style of yoga that worked for my body. And again, because at the time I had so many really young and intense practices in my life, like yin and yang, so many intense practices that I needed the shift to happen. So yoga was not my exercise, and it was not my fitness, and it was not part of that part of my life. I did other things for that, but that's when the shift really started to happen for me. Along the way of starting my deeper studies with Eric, I also took a bunch of workshops and read Max Strom's books and his teachings. And I found them to be incredibly powerful for my life.